Alrighty, good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you're walking on the other side of the world. Welcome to day 5 of the SteelSeries Community League. How are you doing tonight, B-Ted?
I am doing pretty well. Glad to be here. I'm really excited about this matchup. We have Popcorn versus J-Lift. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, it definitely should be pretty good. I believe they're ranked number 1 and number 2 for the series. And we do actually have the mods now working for the after battle results screens and our statistics for the game. So big shout out to Viral for getting that up and running. But just taking a look, we've got our rosters listed there: Popcorn, Blade Might, Boris, the Chad, Leatherman, Miles Breach, there might be Giants, Trouser Snake, and Jan Toronto. And for J-Lift, Anakin marked up, 11D, Mark, North Anime God, Reps, Skip, and Wall Hacks. And interestingly, looking at the statistics, it looks like J-Lift has played more games, but has a lower attack and defense win rate compared to Popcorn.
Really?
Yeah, kind of an interesting setup.
Yeah.
Generally, because I believe J-Lift had one game that went into overtime, which would be the reasoning for the 15 instead of the 13 games. They just took a little bit longer to beat them. But as far as the attack win rate, I think this is going to be a good night for us, specifically
Yeah.
because
These maps.
yeah, and maps now as well. We're getting all sorts of fancy. We're just raising that production value
Yep.
right on up as we go with the season. So to familiarize you guys with this specific screen, we have Mines first, in which was picked by J-Lift. We have Ghost Town, which was picked by Popcorn, with their microscopic logo. Then we've got Sand River, picked by J-Lift. Himmelsdorf, picked by Popcorn.
So just to
I
clarify,
apologize. Excuse me. Mines and Ghost Town are both banned. Mines
now
banned
you
by
got it.
J-Lift. Ghost Town banned by Popcorn. I apologize. I'm apparently colorblind, I learned today. But first battle will be Sand River. J-Lift pick. Himmelsdorf will be second with Popcorn. Cliff will be J-Lift. And then Prokhorovka by Popcorn. And then, of course, the tiebreaker on Ruinberg this evening. So,
Good. We're starting out with Sand River just as well, which means it's kind of anyone's ball game. This will be a lot. I'm psyched for tonight's matchups.
give me a Kronwagen. Anyway, looking just kind of as a our regular thing. What do you predict? What do you think the lineup is going to be?
Tank lineup, or do you think the final score?
Final score.
Uh, Popcorn's been playing really well, but I think they have to prove themselves against J-Lift. I'm going to go 5-3 for J-Lift.
5-3 J-Lift. I'm going to go 5-2 J-Lift because I think what's going to happen is one of two things is going to happen. J-Lift is smart enough to not underestimate Popcorn. Popcorn is kind of now out and exposed as far as they're not here to mess around. They're a decent team. So I think that what's going to happen is that J-Lift is going to take it seriously and they're going to win this game. But I think they're going to. I still think Popcorn's going to take at least 2 games off of them.
I think it's 5-3. I think it's Popcorn will get possibly early wins, maybe sweep their Himmelsdorf match. They'll do something that'll get J-Lift's attention. But if they're serious about making a run at the top, they need to knock off J-Lift tonight, and that's going to be an interesting challenge for them.
Yeah, they really do. And just to give everybody kind of a rundown of where the standings are, we currently have Popcorn in first place with 2 games played, but 6 points. Team Moist is in second with 3 games played and 6 points. J-Lift is currently in third with 2 games played and 5 points. Bear Force 1 is after them with 3 games and 4 points. Then we have Flippy B with 3 games and 3 points. Thromatitos with 2 games and 3 points. FHS 2 games and 3 points, and Unlikely Heroes with 3 games and 0 points. So both of these teams, even though J-Lift is in third, I think it's kind of a false third just because they've only played 2 games. Popcorn, again, another opportunity for us to see whether or not they're going to play the way that they did against Thromatitos, where they just caught Thromatitos completely off guard.
Yes, they did. They took them out to the woodshed, and I'm looking forward to this match because I think Jayla's going to present a level of challenge they haven't seen so far.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially with the experience that J-Lift has on its team with Wallhacks, 11D, Anakin, and all of them. It really they've got a lot of experience behind them. I think they're going to come out rolling, and I don't think they're going to let off the gas at all. Just looking at the as we go in, they're pretty similar as far as their attack and defense win rates, even though Popcorn's a little bit higher. But I do know that if J-Lift takes it seriously, I think they'll give Popcorn a good run for their money tonight.
Here's the important question: did you pick your fantasy league, and who did you pick?
I did, but I'm not going to say who I picked. You'll have to see it on the thing when it runs up. And as we go in, we are actually going to go right into our first game of the night on Sand River. Popcorn bringing in a Kronwagen, a Super Conqueror, a Bat Chat, a CS63, and an STB for their first defense, and J-Lift bringing an IS-7, Kronwagen, Bat Chat 25T, a CS63, and two CS63s rather. So Reps, my man, and Trouser Snake representing the Swedish lineup with Kronwagens. I'm very happy to see.
Well, I heard that mysterious voice asking for a Kronwagen, and you ask and you shall receive. And the last time you asked for a flip tank, you got it. I mean, on Monday.
I'm wondering who we're going to see a flip from tonight, or if we're going to see one. So kind of interesting to see. But we have about 15 seconds now as we get ready for our game to go in. So we do have a little bit of time. Kind of an interesting lineup coming from Popcorn and J-Lift. Very mobile, I would say, with the exception of the Super Conqueror, really. Popcorn has got a pretty mobile defense, utilizing the speed that Crown can provide, and the Bat Chat and the CS63 and the STB with that gun depression as well. And yeah, here we go, and we can see Popcorn getting set up. They're going to use Jan Toronto as a quick spot run, sending him to that traditional light tank ridge just to get some eyes in and see if they're going to and we have FHS up on our screen instead of J-Lift, but just checking to see if J-Lift is going to make that run across the middle. Wallhacks does get the spot off, though, using that IS-7 vision and managing to get a good shot into Jan Toronto there as Wallhacks gets away scot-free for it because there's really nothing in there that can support him. Jan Toronto now using the little bit of gun depression that the Bat has to just get eyes across as he does get eyes on the CS63s as they cross. 11 is going to bleed 2 shots there, 3 shots there, dropping to 711, and Skip is going to eat 1 more shot from Jan Toronto as they see 2 CS63s in the Bat Chat make it up into the A7 ridge area. So kind of an interesting setup there. 11D bleeding, I think, a lot unnecessarily, but that's kind of one of the risks that you take when you make that crossing because it's just not a good area. As Boris picks off 11D with his in the CS63, definitely not a good poke by 11D there and costing J-Lift a tank early on in this game. And good positioning here by J-Lift as they're in decent positions right now to get a good crossfire going on the north where Boris and the CS63 is located. But losing 11D like that so early is not.
That's gonna be the mark, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good situation to find themselves in as they're already down about 3,000 HP, or excuse me, 2.2k HP, and the game is only just now getting to 2 minutes old.
Puts them in a more difficult spot, but sometimes you see these teams play the best when you put them in that difficult spot.
And there is the brawl going on up in the north. Skip and Anakin pushing in on the CS63, but Popcorn did manage to relocate a Bat Chat up there. They are going to pick Boris as Boris goes down, but there is that Bat Chat now for the CS63 and the Bat Chat to take care of. They are going to quickly lose reps in the Kronwagen. Now Wallhacks is the only one left there as Miles tries to put a little bit of distance between him and the CS63 and the Bat Chat up north. Wallhacks, though, is completely isolated in the middle of a 3-way crossfire. And it does not look good for J-Lift here as they try to get into good positions and are just bleeding HP all over the place.
That was rough. And it's down 3,483 to 640. And essentially talking, it's Skip and Anakin left. Each 1 shots now.
Yeah, and the STB is going to out-reload this CS63 as Anakin backs up, only a one-shot himself. But Leatherman is going to pick up Skip with that shot as Anakin manages to pick up Miles Beach there, but it's just a one-shot CS63 against a near half-health Batchat and a half-health Super Conqueror here, and I would guess that the Kronwagen is going to be sneaking up from behind any moment. Oh no, there's a Kronwagen in front actually getting lit and getting the pick on Anakin, making this a first round game going to Popcorn on
first blood
this
to Popcorn.
fifth night. Yes, first one to Popcorn. And as always, everybody, it is best of 9, so it is the first of 5 that wins attack defense, so each team will get an opportunity to play their map choice.
That's crucial.
Yeah, definitely
first blood early on to Popcorn, and that can play a little bit into it. But looking at it, 11D getting taken without doing any damage. Wow.
Yeah, Miles Beach with 2 kills, 33k damage, 100% hit rate. I mean, you know, that's pretty fucking good for an STB, considering it doesn't have the most accurate gun. Trouser Snake, Jan Toronto, each pulling in above 2k. Trouser Snake almost at 3k with a 78% hit rate and 1 kill. Leatherman and Boris, even though they didn't do as much damage as the rest of their team, still one kill each. Anakin pulling in the 3,500 damage for J-Lift here. 1 kill, 64% hit rate. So it really came down to just, I think, a bit of a superior positioning and their shots managing to connect correctly as Popcorn picks up that first win pretty decisively, I would say.
Very decisively. Now we get to see how will J-Lift react. Are they going to come out hyper-aggressive themselves? Are they going to come out and perhaps play a more conservative game? I'm curious, as always right now, the match itself tells an amazing story, and I'm curious to see what story will be told between these two really good teams.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. You know, it's just the first game. There's more than enough time for J-Lift to rally and change things around, especially with, I believe, especially with the way that everything went in that match for them. I mean, I know that this is J-Lift's pick, Sand River, so it is a bit disheartening to lose your attack on the map that you picked, because that is a map that you're picking, right? So you're supposed to be comfortable with it. So I think, honestly, they can definitely rally for this, and we will see if they get the opportunity to as we go into our next game of the night. We have switched sides, so it will be J-Lift on defense, and we have Trouser Snake, Leatherman, Jan Toronto, Boris, and Miles bringing a Kronwagen Super Conqueror, Batchat, CS63, and an STB. Reps bringing a Super Conqueror, Skip, and a Batchat, 11D, and a CS63 again, and 11D and Wallhacks each bringing an STB. So much more flexible coming in from J-Lift on their defense. Much less heavy in reality, with only bringing the one Super
identical build that in last match. Didn't they have the same tanks, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm pretty sure they did. They did bring I know at least they brought the Kronwagen, but I believe that they did have the same tanks as the last match.
Yes.
Which just shows, they're comfortable in those vehicles as they go into the setup. And they are taking some pretty aggressive runs. The Batchat taking control of the mid-ridge here with wall hacks, and kind of has his counter there. Wall hacks in a good position to spot the crossing for the road that runs up to the 2-cap if they decide to push there, but nothing gets lit, so wall hacks is going to go ahead and fall back. No eyes on the Batchat right now, who managed to get himself into a nice little bush up in the F4 ridge. 11D and Skip in the south with the CS63 and the Batchat. Depending on how 11D pushes us, he should be able to get some shots into the back of the Super Conqueror Leatherman or into Jan Toronto, depending on if they can manage to get the eyes there. But right now, kind of a passive play for Popcorn at the moment.
I like the fact Wallhacks knew when to withdraw. He knew when to, very aware that it doesn't help you to be hyper aggressive and possibly get yourself picked early.
That is true. Oh, and there we go. Leatherman has been lit. You can hear the sound coming in there as Leatherman gets lit by Eleventy, who's in kind of an aggressive spot with that CS63. But it doesn't look like Skip in the bat chat has been lit yet, as Skip stays below that ridge. They are sending Yon Toronto south with the STB now. It looks like my guess would be to try to pick Eleventy. But it does look like Eleventy and the CS63 and Skip are both getting out of there as quickly as possible. Will Eleventy get out of here perfectly safe? Yes, he does, using the speed that CS63 can provide, getting onto the other side of the K line, and they are probably going to eat a shot here. Yes, there it is. Eleventy eating a shot, and 2 shots by the Batchat now. Will he get a third? No. Eleventy managing to dodge that one. A fourth? Nope. Managing to dodge that one as well, as Eleventy is now over the ridge, but not before eating a third shot, making that a 3 out of 5 for that Batchat clip. Great aim on the part of Yon Toronto there, as Eleventy drops to 908. Wallhacks at the same time down to 1508, as he tried to get into a decent position around the 2 cap. Anakin now pushing around. They should be able to put some pressure onto Trouser Snake here, but you can see already Popcorn's tanks are flexing around, as now Trouser Snake in the Kronwagen, it has already gotten into a position to basically flex on Anakin here, using the gun depression of that Kronwagen to put all 3 shots into Anakin in quick succession. But now the Kronwagen is on reload, so Anakin should be able to get some decent shots into there. But Yon Toronto and Miles Breach are now pushing up, and Anakin hasn't spotted him yet. And there goes Anakin. He has spotted him now, but he's not going to get out of there, as he gets tracked twice in quick succession. And Yon Toronto should pick up this kill here, as down goes Anakin, making the first kill of the game in favor of Popcorn. Wallhacks, Skip, and Reps now kind of trying to just get what shots they can onto Trouser Snake, but Skip in a Batchat, not with the best gun depression, is going to get a couple shots or take a shot at least from the Kronwagen, as now Wallhacks and Boris are going to basically fight each other isolated on the other side.
And if you're wondering why the blue says Popcorn and the red says FHS, blue is actually J-Lift, and Popcorn is actually the red right now. Just so you guys will get that sorted out. But if you're wondering, the mix-up, technical difficulties, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, and unfortunately, speaking of technical difficulties, it just doesn't look good for J-Lift here, as Skip goes down to Miles Beach in the STB, and Miles managing to bounce a shot from Eleventy. Eleventy tries to get in to give a little bit of help to Reps, and this Russian team is just showing that they are an absolutely dominating force this season, as they just easily pick apart J-Lift here.
They hurt him, and they are setting the terms of this relationship early. It's 2-0 now for Popcorn. Going to be heading into the map they picked now. That's curious, and J-Lift scratched something back.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good run for J-Lift here, as they pick up that very, very aggressive or as Popcorn rather picks up a very, very aggressive 1-2 punch on the Sand River, picking it up as a clean sweep. And you can see just from the after battle results screen, Trouser Snake pumping out 3,500 damage with that Kronwagen, 100% accuracy, no kills, but just the damage that he was able to pump out, eliminating Anakin almost completely and doing a ton of damage to Skip in that Batchat. Not a good time for J-Lift there. Miles with 2,600, 2 kills, 90% accuracy. Yon Toronto with 1,800, Boris with 1,500, and Leatherman with 940. As on the other side, though, Eleventy is the only one to pick up a kill, and none of J-Lift manages to clear 2k damage on that run, even though that was their pick for the night.
That is so true.
With Sand River. Definitely not a good time for that.
And something noticing right here is the really good use of Kronwagen, which has kind of been a bit of an epiphany so far this season, and how teams can really make it work on that map.
Well, they've definitely shown, Popcorn at least has definitely shown that they are able to use that to the full advantage, to really work quite well for them.
Yep. We've seen other teams take it out as well. Yep.
Definitely unlucky there for J-Lift. And I mean, just looking at last game as well, Trouser Snake in that Kronwagen managing to pump out 2,700 damage and at least a kill as well. So, you know, he's pulling out about 6k damage across those 2 games in just the Kronwagen, which is pretty damn good if I say so myself. Definitely unfortunate for J-Lift. But as always, we're getting ready to go to our next match, and that will be Himmelsdorf. Now, this is a popcorn pick, so we will be seeing J-Lift on defense first on Himmelsdorf. But Himmelsdorf is one of those maps that's, it's an oldie but a goodie. J-Lift should be familiar with it just due to the number of times they've played on it. The same could be said for Sand River, but I'm feeling like J-Lift might be able to pull it back a little bit and reestablish themselves as a good contender for popcorn on Himmelsdorf, at least.
I'm excited to see this because it is a match that J-Lift knows very well, a map that J-Lift knows very well, but so does popcorn. This is a map that goes all the way to Tier 1, and I say that a lot, but it stands. We've seen great play for the early match day so far, and to me, that just shows you how many teams have been practicing for it and prepping for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did. One of the teams did go ahead and call a 2-minute timeout to kind of regroup a little bit. There might have been a DC, so we do have a little bit of time. And that it does give me the opportunity at least to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks SteelSeries for providing us with the merch that we're using to cast the games, as well as sponsoring this season and the prizing for the winners of the SteelSeries Community League. But it also gives me the opportunity to say that there is a code that Wargaming has asked me to put into the stream for their Halloween scavenger hunt. So I will put up that code around intermission for those people that are joining us this evening.
Guys, Edge, tell them where you are for the people in my stream.
I'm over at twitch.tv/edge_of_insanity. So, plenty of underscores and plenty of unnecessary text there as well.
And I'll remind everyone to head over before our intermission to make sure to get that code from 11D, because those codes are often for a lot of fun stuff, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those codes that Wargaming is providing for the scavenger hunt. It's the last one of the series. I'm sure that on the forums for World of Tanks there is a nice little area that is provided for all of the codes. I believe Warchild is the one that puts it up on the forum, so if you just look for him, you should be able to find them, and it's all the previous codes from the previous days that have been put up on stream, and then we've got, of course, this code for Wargaming as well. And it looks like we are getting ready for our next match on Himmelsdorf. It is a 2-0 game currently for Popcorn. As we go into this, J-Lift will be on defense first, and they are going to bring a 50B, 2 E100s, and 2 277s, and Popcorn bringing two E100s rather, a Super Conqueror, a T57 Heavy, and a Batchat. And I think this is the first time we've seen a T57 Heavy used in the Community League so far.
I believe you are right, Edge. I think this is the first time, but it's a great choice. I mean, it's a good tank. It can do a lot, but there's a lot of HP on the table.
It really is, and it doesn't have the most accurate gun, which makes sniping with it kind of a risk. So generally, a lot of the teams prefer to bring a 50B just because you get the accuracy as well as that clip potential. But 57 Heavy, it'll be an interesting choice just because Popcorn tends to be pretty accurate. Like they don't seem to be having much of a problem when it comes to penning tanks. As we see them take,
their shots.
Yeah, exactly. And they are sending, it looks like, the Super Conqueror up the hill as they get Boris in the Batchat rather into the middle banana road on the 7 line, and the 2 E100s and the 57 Heavy now taking a good position to be able to try to farm out the hidey hole corner over on the 3 line where Reps is located at the moment. Reps managing to get a shot off, but it doesn't look like it penned. But they are going to manage to get at least one into Trouser Snake as he tries to cross. Dropping him to 2607, but those E100s with their boosted HP, they have a very, very comfortable HP pool as they kind of get into position now to deal with the 2 E100s from J-Lift on the other side. As I don't know, that shot was just not a very good shot. As the 2 Popcorn players in the E100s now manage to keep the Batchats and T57 safe. eating those 2 shots, risking the damage, but forcing Anakin and Skip back as they did not light. I'm pretty sure they didn't light the 57 Heavy or the Bat Chat as Boris and Jan Toronto make their way. There's the 2 cap, and you are going to go ahead and see Boris get onto the cap just to put a little bit of pressure onto J-Lift as the 50B, 11D, and the 2277s are now making a push around the back corner. 11D with looking like he took at least a shot of damage. Is going to be able to get in here, and he should be able to dump his clip into Miles pretty easily, but it is forcing Miles now to turn his turret, and the 2 E100s that have now made their way up the D-line are going to be able to get a good crossfire into the E100, but that's still, like we said, a lot of HP for them to do, as 11D now is going to get picked up, but not before he gets in 2 shots into the T-57 Heavy. 11D now in a decent hull down. Miles still healthy with 511 HP, as the 277 really needs to not be bouncing those shots. Anakin dropping to 503, and he is going to go down here to Trouser Snake really shortly, unless they can simp the shot for him, which they do. Trouser Snake shooting reps instead of Anakin keeping that gun in the game. Good execution and use of teammate HP there, as they really need to make sure that he can pick up Trouser Snake here real quickly, as Jan Toronto, who should be off reload very shortly, coming around that back corner to push in behind the 2 T50 or the 2 E100s in the 277, as Wallhack's now eating the shot, pushes with reps, and they should be able to pick very shortly as they come around the corner.
Will Jan Toronto be able to rotate around fast enough to get those shots? No, sorry, not Jan Toronto. They're
Boris the Bat Chat. Yeah, Boris the Bat Chat is coming around. Leatherman is still alive. Jan Toronto now with only 1 shot is going to manage to pick off reps in that 277, but now Wallhacks is going to be able to threaten him, dropping him to 57 HP. They should be able to pick up the kill. Skip kills him, and now it's a Bat Chat versus Boris in the Bat Chat. And as the chat does know, it's a game for Boris, as he managed to pick up the kill on Anakin with only 1 shot remaining. He is just going to go ahead and push up, though, get one more shot, attempt to get one more shot rather, into the E100 as he tries to get away. And he makes the corner, and Wallhack should be right around this corner as he comes here, trying to escape from that E100. There's Wallhack's butt, Bat Chat trolliness. Wallhacks does manage to just track him, and Boris accepts the inevitable, accepts Wallhack's ram. And with that, we will now be 2-1 in favor of Popcorn still, but as we stated earlier, this is Popcorn's pick, so a good showing by J-Lift there as they managed to get some good damage in.
And a great response by J-Lift coming into that match, coming into that situation. You're down to nothing. How are you going to react? They reacted by really making that defense stick, coming around, and just being it felt like a step ahead of Popcorn in that match.
Yeah, they really seem, again, that shows just the level of ability that J-Lift does have. You can see Skip with 3,400 damage there, 2 kills, 73% hit rate. Anakin, again, above 3K, even though he went down relatively early, he was still integral to keeping alive, blocking damage, and making Popcorn have to shoot him instead. Bumping out 3,100 damage, getting a kill, 64% win rate. Wallhacks, 2,400 damage, 2 kills, 71% win rate or hit rate. Reps and 11D, although they didn't do 2K, they did both manage. They did their job, which is ultimately very important when it comes down to these 5v5s, because losing just one of them prematurely without managing to get in that the amount of damage that they need to is just such a detriment towards winning the match, really. And you can see that just from yeah, and you can see that just from Popcorn. They took aggressive positions there. They used the E100s correctly, using them as a wall almost. But they were ultimately just too spread out. The T57 Heavy managing to get off 2,200 damage, 2 kills, and with an 86% win rate or hit rate. And the 2 E100s doing almost exactly the same amount of damage. But Miles managing to hit more of his shots than Trouser Snake. Leatherman in that Super Conqueror with 1,900 damage and a 63% hit rate. And Boris with 1,300 damage, 1 kill, and a 67% win rate or hit rate.
A lot of things that go into a good player, a lot of things that go into a good team, skill sets, understanding, being able to communicate the whole 9 yards. But one of the oldest tricks in the book, and a great strategy, is the more guns you keep in the game, the more damage you're putting out. So there was some simping in there, so there were some good plays, and that kept all those guns in that J-Lift needed to be able to deliver the win.
Absolutely. And as we go into our second game on Himmelsdorf, we now have switched sides, so Popcorn will be on defense. And we have Boris, Miles, and Trouser Snake each bringing an E100, a Sue Leatherman in the Super Conqueror, and Jan Toronto again in the Bat Chat. And then we have 11D and Skip, both in 50Bs, Anakin in an E100, Reps and Wallhacks, both bringing 277s for their attack round on Himmelsdorf. So much more mobile coming in from J-Lift, much more, I think, of an opportunity for them to make a misplay with those 250Bs if they aren't used correctly, if they're not focusing down the targets that they need to, but they should be able to pick up decent amounts of damage there, and at least some decent fantasy points as well, knowing 11D and Skip.
I have Skip and Wallhacks on my team, so I'm hoping for the best here. And I think on the other side I might have Boris on the other side.
And we are waiting to actually get a view of the battle here, as we can hear some of the battle sounds, but are currently looking at the pre-game listing here.
I know.
And there we are. Yeah, there we are. As it looks like J-Lift is taking some pretty aggressive spots. They've kept Skip back in the 50B, but they have sent 11D and his 50B up onto the hill. That's a great position for a 50B to be in because it can get some decent shots down into the 1-2-3 line. Wallhacks and Reps and Anakin taking some positions around the central courtyard area. But Popcorn in that kind of turtle formation with just a huge chunk of HP, almost 9k from those 3 HP boosted E100s, putting them at a solid 1300 HP.
That turtle style has been used day one of any competitive esports on Himmelsdorf. On the rail yard, being in that position is a bit of a classic move.
Yeah, it's, you know, those E100s with the HP boost, it's just, and the DPM increase that it got from its buff, it's really just a difficult tank to kind of eat through. But you can see that, interestingly for Popcorn, they haven't all elected to use the 128. We did see the 155 on at least one of them. I'm pretty sure it was Miles and Leatherman in that Super Conqueror now on the A-line, just to provide a little bit of cover for the one cap if Wallhacks and company decide to make a play for it. And it does...
Backstop. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, and here comes some of the move as the 250Bs have regrouped down on the K-line, moving together towards the 2-line, and the 2-2-7-7s have made kind of aggressive plays now. It does look like they managed to scare off Jan Toronto in the Bat Chat, as now Anakin and Wallhacks have taken the forward positions there on the 5-line and 3-line respectively. So what do you think? Are we going to see a 2-cap play, or are we going to see J-Lift make a play for the 1-cap?
I think it's going to be 2-cap. I think a lot of this is shifting right now, and we could see a reposition of the tanks further south. But you never know with J-Lift. They're experienced enough to kind of feint and kind of bait you out and try to set you up to do what they want to do. And again, experience. A couple of these guys on this team, they've been playing the game for probably since beta.
And it does look like you're correct. It does look like they are sending Anakin up towards the 2-cap. He can sit on that corner with the E100 and at least put some pressure onto Popcorn to make sure that they have to push in to get resets. Using at least one of the 50Bs now, pairing it with a 277 on that 5-line, they should be able to get some decent shots into an E100 as it tries to cross there to get resets. But the question is how much damage will they be able to farm off of that E100 to make it an easier fight for Anakin on that corner?
That's it. Trouser Snake could push across right now, but it would be a bad idea. He'd definitely take some hits. Now he's got enough HP.
And now here comes all three. Well, yeah, here comes all three E100s, and this is kind of be a little bit of a counter here for the plan that Wallhacks and 11D have on this corner to try to get some shots in. They're just going to send an overwhelming amount of HP, and it should be Trouser Snake taking the peek on that corner to see if anybody's there to catch them in a crossfire, which he should spot 11D and Wallhacks here very shortly, except it doesn't look like he took a good enough peek, as he does manage to bounce a shot. Now 11D is going to manage to get off at least 2 shots into that E100, but the Anakin in the E100 that's on the cap now is going to basically fight 3 full health E100s and the Leatherman in the Super Conqueror, so it's not really a good spot for him to be in, as he's pretty isolated. So here comes Wallhacks and 11D around the corner. They should be able to give him some support now. as they try to get some shots in here. And I think Anakin is just trying to go for the tracks and trying to stay alive as Popcorn tries to overpeak that corner. And it does look like they are grouping up now to put some damage. Anakin is going to go down here very shortly as Wallhacks tries to get in, but it's going to be just a little too late. And now Wallhacks is completely alone against 4 of Popcorn's tanks, and I think that was just a big misplay. Wallhacks trying to get in there to support Anakin, but it unfortunately was just not in enough time as Popcorn just pushed out and around with those HP boosted E100s. Now, they did manage to kill one of them, but now we have 11D and Skip either close on reload or about to be on reload, and Jan Toronto with 996 damage, or 996 HP, is just gonna keep Skip honest, it looks like, at this point, as they are both on reload, but now Reps is completely alone against a Super Conqueror in an E100, which is just not a good time when you're in a 277 like this. And there goes Rep, dropping to 359 damage. That 155 on the 100, even though it's not considered better than the 128 at this point anymore, it's just it's not a good situation to be in there, just due to the amount that he can pump out with that one shot. And in short order, Popcorn is going to pick up its 3rd win of the night, making this a 3-1 game, winning their defense on Himmelsdorf.
Anakin capping to put pressure on, great, fantastic, but he ended up bleeding out. I don't know if there was a plan that just got misplayed or what the plan was, but that's a lot of HP to burn when you're facing 3 tanks. And with no support, that was not good on him.
Well, ultimately, it came down to a situation where I think Anakin should have just bailed immediately. On that corner as soon as they saw all 3 of those E100s and the Super Conqueror crossing to put pressure on him. He should have just run. I mean, saying that in hindsight is, 2020, and run with an E100 is also kind of a stretch just because of how slow that tank is.
Like a
yeah, he just really was not able to put out the damage that he was just not able to live really as long as he needed to. When faced with 3 100s and a Super Conqueror, and then, of course, the Bat Chap flanking around. And just taking a look at the after-battle result screens, Leatherman with the Super Conqueror pumping out almost 4k damage, 2 kills and an 85% hit rate. Boris, Trouser Snake in the E100s, each doing about 2.5k, but Boris managing to pick up a kill. But Trouser Snake, again, a 100% hit rate. Jan Toronto in the Bat Chat with 2k damage, 1 kill and an 86% hit rate. Miles Beach with 1,500, 1 kill and a 75% hit rate. And then on Jalef's side, we have 11D and Skip, each doing, 11D almost getting 3k worth of damage, Skip almost at 2,500. No kills between them, but they did have decent hit rates. Reps with the 2,300, 1 kill, the only kill from Jalef, and an 83% win rate, or hit rate. Anakin, 1,500 damage and a 100% hit rate. And then, of course, Wallhacks, who I'm pretty sure I think he was just a little delayed there trying to get up to the E100 to support Anakin, and he just got completely caught out and erased without firing a shot that game.
Yeah, it just felt like no one else was with him, and he was committed to trying to bail Anakin out. It just was too late.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, a misplay there, which is unfortunate for J-Lift because it did cost them Wallhacks in his 277 and a lot of HP, making it a 3-5 game in real short order there. But that was
because of that match.
Yeah, because of that, it is now a 3-1 series as we go on to our next match of the night. Now, next map is going to be on Cliff, and it is a J-Lift pick, so Popcorn will be on defense first for Cliff. Kind of an interesting... they should find themselves in a pretty decent situation here. I think for J-Lift, because Cliff is pretty fast, pretty aggressive, and it looks like Popcorn tends to favor more of a methodical approach, especially on a map like we just saw with Himmelsdorf with those 3 HP boosted E100s, which is kind of ridiculous because it's just so much HP to chew through.
It's a little bit of HP.
Yeah, only 9k. Definitely not too much.
Everyone have 9k? No HP?
Well, no. With that HP boost, with the HP boosted E100, right? It's 2970, and then they brought 3 of them. So, be interesting to see how they try to adjust now for a much more aggressive map.
Well, and in the past, when Popcorn's gotten them in this position 1 or 3-0, they sometimes pull out sort of a troll. But we're not seeing that this time, as we see Popcorn bringing out an Object 277, 2 Bat Chat 25Ts, S63, and an STB1. And on the opposite side, J-Lift, Reps is an Object 277, Wallhacks is a 277, Skip and a Bat 25T, 11D, and Anakin and an STB1. So this looks interesting. You've got a lot of reload on that side of Popcorn.
Yeah, Popcorn electing to bring much more aggressive, much faster tanks on this for this game, and it looks like Leatherman is either not loaded in or possibly DC'd, but he is back. There he is. He's back in the 277 as Popcorn takes some very aggressive plays, sending the CS63, the Batchat, and the STB towards the ridge, where J-Lift has elected to send Reps in the 277, Skip, and 11D in their Batchat CS63 and 277 around into the donut area. They should be able to get up here pretty quickly. Not before Boris in the CS63 is going to be able to take advantage of that rock that's located in the D4 area and get into a little bit of protection as 11D tries to get a shot into him. But Anakin here has to play kind of carefully because Trouser Snake is going to be aggressively taking that hill there. He is going to get up unmolested. Nope, not before Skip manages to get a shot in with the Batchat, dropping Trouser Snake to a 10k HP tank. But now we have Wallhacks and Anakin now that are going to be able to get some shots in the Miles Breach there. But they have to play carefully because the STB's gun depression is more than good enough to threaten 277. And now we have most of J-Lift's team now flexed onto the other side, trying to get shots into Trouser Snake in that Batchat on the hill. Boris tucked in well behind the rock, but not well enough as he takes a shot from the STB on the hill. Anakin managing to sink that shot in. Very good shot. And I don't think Boris is actually lit here. I think that these are blind shots coming in from Anakin, so he manages to connect at least one, and the second one missing. But J-Lift kind of in a decent position right now. Yeah, he is going to take at least one hit there, and that's from the Batchat that's on the hill. But we have Jan Toronto now flanking around far on the 8 line, and he is going to be able to get behind Wallhacks, so Wallhacks needs to just kind of pay attention here, and I don't think Jan Toronto got lit by Wally, but I think Wally, but he definitely lit Wally, but I don't think Wally lit him there, as Jan Toronto is kind of looking for shots in there. And almost a flip there, not quite, but almost. And
so did you
at
put
the
in your
moment,
flip request for the evening?
Yeah,
Ask for your flip.
Yes, I did, but we haven't seen it yet. But at this moment, Popcorn is decisively ahead in HP, up by about 1.2k at the moment. So kind of a rough position for J-Lift to be in on their attack with on Cliff.
Yeah, and like you said, Popcorn being patient, persistent, but still patient and not over-committing.
And in comes the shots now, as Jan Toronto is going to be able to get some shots into Wallhacks there. Unfortunate. And Anakin backing off the ridge. Will Jan Toronto be able to pick up the kill on one of them? He does. He does manage to pick up Anakin. He is kind of isolated, though, and getting shot by Skip and 11D. But with Trouser Snake on the hill like that in the back, they're just able to spot this rotation. Command of that hill is just so important on Cliff. Because it just dominates such a large section of the map with vision alone, and by putting the Batchat up there, they're just able to tear apart J-Lift's team as they just try to rotate around. Wallhacks now isolated and alone, getting pushed by the STB and down to 131 HP. And I don't think Wallhacks was even there at that point. I think he had just kind of left the game. Reps in his 277 now facing off against Boris and Leatherman in their tanks, and Reps will go down here shortly and making this 4-1 game in favor of the RU team. Popcorn.
And
11D threw himself off a cliff.
Wow. And it's now match point. It's now 4-1. But
yeah,
the next match, Popcorn could take it.
Yeah, it's entirely
that
possible.
Would be definitive.
It is
very definitive.
Yeah, it's absolutely entirely possible for Popcorn to take this game very aggressively, making it a 5-1, which would be my first unfortunate miscalculation as far as predictions go. But just taking a look at the after battle results screen,
something like 83%. You've been doing great. So
yeah, absolutely. But I think Popcorn is just showing themselves to be one of the best teams in the league at this moment. they're pretty reliably undefeated, and they're just making clean work of J-Lift, who have had a very good showing so far. With Boris pumping out 2,500 damage in that CS63, picking up a kill and 70% hit rate. Jan Toronto managing to get around back and behind, picking up 1,800 damage. Trouser Snake 1,600, and Miles Breach each with a 1,500 as well, and each with a kill and a better than 70% hit ratio. And then Leatherman with 1,500 damage, 0 kills because 11 fell off a cliff, and 60% hit rate as well. Reps bringing in the big damage for J-Lift, but not actually clearing 2,000 damage. Skip with 1,400, Anakin with 778, 11 with 399, and Wallhacks once again with 0 damage. Kind of a surprising duplicate there coming off of that Himmelsdorf game. Because, generally you see Wally doing a good amount of damage here in these games, and Popcorn just not providing the opportunity for J-Lift to really shine there, and frankly kind of just outplaying them at every turn, unfortunately.
They're setting themselves up in ways that deny J-Lift the opportunity to play their normal game. They're shooting the map by that great flank by Jan Toronto. That kind of spelled, to me, that was kind of one of the signs from the beginning. Again, when he got that flank all the way in the backfield, it really opened up the game, and they were out to really start putting out the damage.
Yeah, it was just not a good showing. As we go into potentially match point, we have flip sides, so it is J-Lift's turn to defend, Popcorn's turn to attack. And on attack, they are going to bring 3 Bat Chats and 2 SCBs. J-Lift bringing 2 277s, a Bat Chat, a CS63, and an STB as well. I think we're going to see a really quick, fast brawl here coming from Popcorn, as they're just going to find the overmatch and swarm it, and then get away with the speed that those Bat Chats provide.
And then they're throwing down the gauntlet. They're throwing down the gauntlet to Rep, Swallhack, Skip, 11D, and Anakin of we're going to use speed, we're going to come right at you, stop us.
Time to roll out.
And in
let's
we
see if
go.
that prediction's right.
Yeah, we see J-Lift kind of all going together. We see Popcorn all going together, and it's just going to be a really aggressive mid-ridge brawl, it looks like, as it's shaping up. Nobody heading towards that 2 line. Wallhacks and Reps in the 277s are going to lag behind just a little bit, but they do have a little bit of armor to give potentially some bounces. And a decent HP pool as well, with J-Lift actually up by about 640... No, about 1,000 HP. As we go into this fight, but these Bat Chats are just going to get aggressively in there. They are going to get the light, and then there are not actually going to get any shots there, as the first damage comes in between 11D and Trouser Snake. 11D trying to get out of there in the CS63, as Jan Toronto is just going to overpeak with the Bat Chat, get a shot into Anakin. They do manage to track Anakin there, and Anakin is now the target of just a lot of punish. Those Bat Chats just using the auto-loader ability and the reload that they have to just tear apart these tanks, making their shots count. 11D down to 800 HP as Reps is killed in short order, and 11D shortly after as well, as J-Lift is now down to just a 277 in the Bat Chat.
Wow.
And it's just not a good position to be in, and you can tell the frustration there just from J-Lift's movements, and it doesn't look like Wallhacks is really doing anything at the moment. It just appears that J-Lift has kind of resigned itself to its fate, as Popcorn picks up Wally in very short order, and then all that's left is Skip in the Bat Chat, who's going to kill at least but and I don't even know where that shot went. Oh, he did manage to sink it into Boris. It just didn't show up on the screen for a moment. He's going to drop a foot into Boris, but go down here very shortly as well, making that a 5-1 series in favor of Popcorn for our first game. Definitely not what anybody was expecting as we went in here.
No, not at all.
And that makes 2 established teams that Popcorn has just kind of, for lack of a better term, shit all over. First throw Matitos last week, and now J-Lift here.
Kicked him in the teeth. Both teams. They
Both
hit hard,
teams.
effective.
Both teams.
They were ruthless when they needed to be, and it was a great fight. Again, kind of remind me of just a socket wrench. Every time you click, you can't go backwards. And when they tighten that noose, they tighten that choke around them, they just keep squeezing until they get the result that they want and take out the other team.
Yeah, and they absolutely proved their dominance here, as just looking at the after battle results screens. Yeah, Miles and Leatherman with 3K and 2.7K respectively, each picking up 3 tanks together with better than 80% hit rates. Boris and Jan Toronto and Trouser Snake with those bat chats dumping out in quick succession. A good amount of damage. Jan Toronto and Trouser Snake each picking up at least 1 kill. And then Jan Toronto with the 100% hit rate again. I think he's had the best hit rate tonight.
Yeah.
And then for J-Lift, Skip, at the end there, he managed to get off a clip and bit. So 2,900 damage for him, a kill, and 100% hit rate. Anakin, Reps, 11D, and Wallhacks just not doing enough on there. As we look at the combined results, and you can see that Miles Breach was top damage and with 8 kills for him by himself. Jan Toronto with 7 kills, but only 11,000 combined damage. And you can just see from the damage loadout, the results from this, Popcorn was just dominating J-Lift at almost every exchange that they had.
They were just taking Fest insert into J-Lift's head repeatedly. They beat him down. 5-1 is definitive. Congratulations. Now, the funny thing was that J-Lift had a chance to take first had they been able to pull off the win. And now we see why Popcorn is now in first place.
Absolutely. It definitely was... it was a surprising match. I'll put it that way. Very unfortunate for J-Lift. Hopefully they'll be able to shake it off and get back into better form. But Popcorn just absolutely dominating the league at the moment. And with that, guys, we will actually head into intermission. I'm going to be popping up the code for the Halloween scavenger hunt that Wargaming is running very shortly. So everybody can keep an eye on that. But...
folks over in my chat, make sure to go head over to twitch.tv/edge_of_insanity. Did I get it right, Edge?
Yes, you did. And I have gone ahead and popped the code. As we get ready to head into our intermission, we'll have about an 8-minute break, guys, before our next games come for the evening. And another good set of games, I think, are headed our way as FHS is going to take on Thromatitos next.
Good.
On the SteelSeries Community League.
And we look forward to seeing you guys in a few minutes. Stay tuned, and thank you very much for being here tonight.
Dorime, interimo ad appare dorime. Ameno, ameno, lanciremo, dorime. Ameno, o manare imperavi, ameno. Timere, mantiremo.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second match of the night between FHS and Thromatitos. Those of you who are just joining in, we just got done watching, for lack of a better term, Popcorn absolutely eviscerate J-Lift in a 5-1 match. This game between FHS and Thromatitos do tend to be a pretty good match, in my opinion. We've got FHS, who are currently ranked 7th, taking on Thromatitos, who are currently ranked 6th. But I think that is a situation where it's a bit deceptive, because FHS had, unfortunately, due to a error with their uploads for the replays, had to take a tech defeat on a match, so that automatically lowered them. As you can see, they've got 13 games played with a 100% attack win rate and a 50% defense win rate. Thromatitos, in a similar fashion to what we just witnessed with J-Lift, took on Popcorn last week and were completely eviscerated as well. So definitely a situation that makes it a little rough for them.
Put a badge of eviscerated by Popcorn and put it next to teams.
Yeah, at this point, it almost feels like there should be some sort of reward for taking at least 3 games off of them. But more of the season remains. Popcorn's getting some initial success, but I think when some of the teams kind of get even out a little bit, we'll see some good play coming in.
And with
as well.
Tonight's match, that puts Popcorn on 9 points, 3 wins, 0 losses, 0 tiebreakers, 0 everything after that wins column. So great start for Popcorn.
Yeah, and as we take a look at our maps for tonight, we've got Ruinberg banned by FHS, and then Mines banned by Thromatitos. First match will be on Ghost Town with an FHS pick. Himmelsdorf next, picked by Thromatitos. Proc by FHS, and Cliff by Thromatitos with a Sand River tiebreaker. So, I believe I saw in the chat that the only people that would pick Ghost Town would be the Bears. And we have already proven that statement false here, as we see FHS making that selection pretty quickly there. Now, because they did pick it, they will have defense first on Ghost Town. And as always, it is a best of 9 games, rather, first to 5 wins, attack defense format, with each team getting a chance to attack and defend on the map. And going in, what do you think, B-Ted? What do you think we're going to see as far as the scoreline goes?
I think it's going to be FHS. They've got a lot to prove. They got a tech loss. That's painful. When an error is made that ends up costing you, that sucks. So I'm going to go FHS, and I think I think we'll end up going. We'll go 5-2 or 5-3. I'm going to say 5-2.
Okay, 5-2 in favor of FHS. You're thinking? I'm actually going to go for Thromatitos here. I think we're going to see 5-4, because I think FHS is hungry for a win, and I think Thromatitos is pissed off after the way that they performed last week. That it was not the way that they wanted to play. It was not the way that they wanted to be shown, and I think we're in a situation where they're probably pissed off and they're hungry for a win. So I think we're going to see 5-4 in favor of Thromatitos tonight.
Probably felt a little bit of embarrassment, and revenge is the best way to sate that embarrassment, is to go out there and kick another team and kick them hard.
Oh, absolutely. And just putting in my order right now, I'd like to see at least one flip, please. We need to at least see one per game night. We've seen one almost every night. Nexus last week on Monday.
Yep,
yes, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, on Monday we saw Nexus Monday. Flip, and then we saw the week prior we saw
night one that we had our first flip. I think it was night 1, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure it was. We had CS Flippy 3, otherwise known as Flippy B, flip at least one tank that night, and then of course Nexus in the 113 last week as well. So
are you expecting Flippy to have a trifecta, at least 3 flips before the end of the season? Or will you be disappointed if he doesn't?
I'd like to see a trifecta.
Absolutely. And that being said, it can happen to anybody. Nexus, when it happened to him, I imagine, is he still getting grief from his team over that?
I would imagine so. Per Nexus
Here we
there.
go.
But yeah, as we go in, we've got FHS on defense. God damn it, that name. A Woober bringing a 50B, Vova in a 50B, built different in an E100, Melancholy and Tank Destroyer each in a Super Conqueror and Batchat. And for Thermatitos, we've got Bastion in an E100, Kenway in Perfect Style in 277s, Fluky in a Super Conqueror, and Sheep in a Batchat as we get ready here. So it'll be a slight HP advantage in favor of Thromatitos, but only by about 22 or 220 HP, just due to the HP difference with the two 277s over the 50B. And we can hear noise viral, but we aren't seeing the game quite yet, as we are trying to get used to using this new mod. So I do bear with us a little bit, guys, as we get ready for this. And there we are. Now we have a view of the game.
Here we go.
And Thromatitos taking very aggressive positions, pushing right up into that central city area using the 277 speeds. Fluky following shortly behind with the Super Conqueror. Sheep taking an aggressive spot on the 7 line, but it's a good area there because he can actually spot Tank Destroyer as he tries to cross in the open, but he's kind of isolated there. And if he pops around this corner at the wrong time, he's going to run smack face into 250Bs, a Super Conqueror.
That will not end well.
Yeah, and it will just not go well for Sheep as he gets lit by Melancholy. He's going to have to back out. He's now stuck in a crossfire as a Woober is going to try to get another pick in the head. Sheep is going to get one more shot out into Melancholy, but he's already dropped the 678 HP. Not a good start for Sheep as the 2277s and Fluky and the Super Conqueror are going to push onto the cap, put a little bit of cap pressure on, and make that a 2 cap with 55 seconds. Built different in the E100, though, in a good position to be able to provide resets if necessary, eating the 2 shots from the Super Conqueror and from Fluky in that or from the 277s and Fluky in the Super Conqueror. As Fluky gets caught out trying to cross, built different dropping 468 HP, and then in comes the push from FHS as they come around the corner. These 2 F50Bs are going to be on reload here as Vova fires his last shot. Woober, I believe, has one more shot. Yeah, there he goes. Now he's on reload as well, and it's now Perfect Style and Kenway who managed to actually survive that pretty well. Considering they went up against,
very well.
Yeah, considering it was against a Super Conqueror and 250Bs. Sheep finally getting picked up, though, by the Batchat, as now Bastion is trying to flank around to get some shots into Tank Destroyer, but that's really just not going to happen. But Sebastian is able to get a shot into Melancholy, picking him off as well. And now all that's left are 3 autoloaders for FHS, 2 277s for Thromatitos, and Bastion in that E100, as Kenway just over-peaked there in a bad spot. Vova able to get 2 shots into him. A Woober now coming around the backside. He will probably wait. If I were him, I would wait until his friends are reloaded to be able to get back in there and get some shots in, kind of spread out the HP difference a little bit. And they do have 47 seconds to do so, so Vova should be able to completely reclip.
I'm curious. I wonder if a Woober speaks like from Finding Nemo. Would it be a Woober or is it a Woober? I mean,
it's a Woober, I believe.
A Woober? Okay. Aiming in, misses. Tank Destroyer. Oh, down. Ouch, that's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, as there's good shots coming in. And Thromatitos is just kind of taking shots from everywhere now, as Vova's able to get some good shots into Bastion, as missing his 3rd shot, but penning 3 of them.
Yep.
So now Vova's going to be on reload. A Woober did what he needed to, as Kenway and Bastion are now going to try to push Vova, but that 50B, it's a speedy little tank.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and he's going to.
How are they going to catch it?
Yeah, they're definitely not going to. The 277 can, the E100 definitely can not, but they're now in not a very good position to fight 3 autoloaders, I would say. Either any one of them can get clicked, as Kenway now takes that peek, getting a good shot into Kenway. Woober's going to pick up that kill. Bastion now, his turret turned as Vova comes around near full HP and picks up the kill on Bastion, making this a very quick victory for FHS on their defense for Sand River.
And congratulations to FHS. 1-0. That's a good way to start. Thromatitos, there were moments in there, but when do you think that the tide changed or really became kind of convinced that FHS had the match?
The moment a Woober was able to peek around that corner and pick off one of the 277s and then get the reset on the other one and get away scot-free. That was the moment that it just turned in tide, and as you can see, Woober and Vova each popping up at least 3k damage, 2 kills each, 100% pen rate. Tank Destroyer, 2,500 damage, 1 kill, 88% pen rate. Melancholy and Built Different. Although they weren't alive that long, their HP was perfectly used, and they were able to keep those 50Bs alive and healthy long enough to get the win over Thromatitos for that first game. Kenway 4K damage, 1 kill, 100% hit rate. Bastion, 2K, 1 hit or 1 kill, 100% hit rate. Perfect Style, 2K, no kill, but 100% win rate or hit rate. It's it was a good play. It just didn't work out for them, unfortunately.
Now, sometimes stats don't always tell the whole story, but looking at this and seeing those 250 be top of their team with over 3,000 damage apiece, 6,500 to combine, that tells a pretty clear story of what happened there. In fact, they're still alive at the end of the match. Great play by FHS. Good way to start the match.
Absolutely. Very aggressive play. And good job by FHS. Now, with this, we will flip sides. So same map, but we will have FHS on the attack and Thermatitas on defense for this.
Now, are you more of a fan of hyper-aggressive, quick attacks, or more of a patient play, kind of playing for the long game and just getting your team set up? What is your preferred style of play?
Well, if I'm playing myself, I prefer the slow, methodical play. But watching it though, I find the aggressive plays to be much better.
Isn't interesting. I think watching, you do want to see the action. You want to see things set up. Though I sometimes watching a really calculated, well-played, slow-play game, but not every match. The brawls are much more fun if it's frantic and has energy to it throughout the match, and also the tanks can be more dynamic when you're seeing play.
That certainly is true, absolutely. And we have a little bit of a moment here of downtime. There might be a bit of a switch up that needed to happen, so do give us a moment, everybody.
Just getting everything set up sometimes takes a few minutes. Again, shout out, thank you so much to Viral, the rest of his admin crew, who makes these whole series and league possible. They're the ones that are in there adminning them, putting everyone in, making sure everyone's locked in and ready to go. And here we go. We have 3 E100s for FHS, a Batchet 25T, an Object 430U, and on the opposite side we have a 60 TP by Bastion, Perfect Style and an E100, a Super Conqueror, 2 Super Conquerors, and a Batchet 25T. I like this. This looks great.
Yeah, this is an interesting run here. We've got the Cancerous 3 E100 HP boosted E100 play coming from FHS.
I say Cancerous, I say rugged.
I say Cancerous just because it's so much HP to chew through. For these teams, and with this, as we go in on their attack, my guess, they're going to play Heavy City with those 3 E100s, and you can tell that Thermatitos is kind of getting set up right away to get in position there to take advantage of that, sending Christian in the 60 TP, the E100 and 2 Super Conquerors towards that 2-cap area.
Is this the first match we're seeing a 430U in, or did we see one before? I can't remember.
Well, the 430U is one of those tanks that was real popular last season, but due to the nerfs that Wargaming applied to it, it's definitely lost a bit of ground as far as its versatility. It was easily the best medium tank in the game, but with those nerfs, it is most definitely not anymore. That is for certain. Now we've got Vova up on the hill. He is trying to get some eyes into the central crossing area to keep that Batchet sheep contained. The 3 E100s from FHS now are going to aggressively push onto the cap, and like I said, that's 9,000 HP that they're going to have to chew through now, Thermatitos, all the while in a crossfire from those E100s and the 430U that's in back. Now, like we said, the nerfs that were applied to the 430U was primarily its armor as well as its gun handling, but at ranges like this in the center of Ghost Town, it's much smaller, so they should be able to get some shots in.
Well, and make the most use out of that specific tank. That makes a lot of sense. And the 60 TP, have we seen that this season before? I don't think so. Or
no,
we had it with a single match.
Yeah, I think we've seen it at least once, but the 60 TP is a pretty versatile tank here. It's got an okay heat shell. It's got a kind of a weird armor profile. It also has a good HE shell, which is what they are looking for now to get the reset. As we get down to 2 seconds, 1 second, they do manage to get the reset in, 2 resets in, dropping into 32 seconds. Vova now pushing up on Sheep. He should be able to pick Sheep really quickly here, and with that, he'll be able to close the different distance, possibly get in behind as Vova gets the first kill of the game on Sheep in that back, and he's now in a good position to just be able to farm the back of these tanks here. But Christian with the 60 TP getting the snapshot off onto Vova, picking him at a distance and eliminating the threat to the flank there. Good shot coming in from Christian.
Great shot. And as we see, slowing down now, FHS, now it's 4-4. Any advantage they had has been cleared out, and now we're kind of, we're seeing if Bastion will be able to flank around, rotate around, and get those shots in. Or will he get intercepted first? Nope, it looks like he's going to get at least... No, he's being rotated
One
out
reset manages to come in from that E100 using an HE shell. Now, the 430 is going to put aggressively on Bastion as Bastion is on reload. Tank Destroyer should be able to kill Bastion here as Bastion is trying to go for resets to get damaged in on those E100s. But, you know, the 60 TP, it's got a lot of HP there, especially when it's HP boosted like it is. It's going to take Tank Destroyer a bit of time there. As now the E100 is pushing around on FHS, they are going to manage to pick him up, and but not before Kenway manages to kill Melancholy in his E100. Built different in Awuber now, both one-shots, and you can tell that Thromatitos is just making sure that they absolutely focus down the tanks that are on the cap, trying to pick up those kills, as now most of FHS's HP is stuck on that 430U, and Awuber in the E100 is just trying to look for some bounces, as many as he possibly can.
And as you mentioned, Tank Destroyer is the only one with any sort of credible amount of HP at the moment.
Yeah, and these Super Conquerors, they're not that good on a brawl on open ground, but they are pretty hulled down here, and that APCR shell will just eat through E100's side turret as long as the E100 is angled correctly. Tank Destroyer in the 430U, if I were him, honestly, I would have broken contact and tried to get behind Kenway as fast as he possibly could to get a shot in there and take some of the pressure off of Awuber. But it looks like Tank Destroyer has decided that he wants to play a hull-down turret battle with Kenway. And with that, Awuber is going to pick up Kenway, and Tank Destroyer in turn is going to pick up Fluky as Awuber goes down. And now it's Kenway versus Tank Destroyer, a Super Conqueror with 575 HP versus a 430U with 1351.
Just under 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Plenty of time to see this play out. And I expect 430U to try to break contact and not try to play the hull down game. But we'll see. We'll see what he's thinking right now.
Yes, absolutely. Now let's no, this is I don't think that this is the play. As Tank Destroyer pushes out, he's using the destroyed wreck of Perfect Style in that E100 to close the distance with the Super Conqueror. He's going to try to get a shot into the lower plate. He does, but it's not enough to get that kill. The Super Conqueror is going to out-reload him. He's lucky that, RNG doesn't say no you at this point, and the pen comes in on the Super Conqueror through the drive wheel, killing that Super Conqueror and making it a 2-0 game in favor of FHS here.
He kills by Tank Destroyer. He was confident going in. You have to be confident to make that sort of play. And he nailed it. Congrats to him. And as you mentioned, that was definitive. That was a nice... He made a play. He made the play he needed to make for his team and for FHS to pick up, the first two battles on Ghost Count.
Yeah, definitely good plays coming in there. Tank Destroyer keeping himself alive with good HP, dropping almost 5k damage with 3 hit kills and 65% hit rate. And it looks like he pulled out 105 fantasy points there, pretty aggressively for anybody who had him. I would hazard a guess that nobody picked him.
Might have just out of the name.
Well, who knows? But built different, and Awuber each doing 2,600 or at least 2k damage. No kills, but 100% hit rates. Melancholy, 1,800 damage, 1 kill, 50% hit rate. And Vova in the bat chat, who managed to pick up Sheep and get those good plays. 1,200 damage, 1 kill, 80% hit rate. And for Thromatitos, Bastion with that 60 TP,
Wow.
I don't know if it was really a misplay, him not focusing on Tank Destroyer, who was on his side there and trying to just pick off the kills. But definitely not a... bad game for him with 3,500 damage, 2 kills, 63% hit rate. Kenway and Fluky each at about 2,500, each getting a kill. Perfect Style 1,800, and then Sheep in the Bat Chat with only 1,100 damage, but a 100% hit rate.
Bastion definitely carrying his own weight in that huge tank, playing it really effectively. That was again tons of fun to watch him use that 60 TP to the best of its ability before he got brought down. And the next map up, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, is going to be Himmelsdorf, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is going to be Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf was chosen by Thromatitos.
Yeah, this is a Thromatitos pick, so we will have FHS on defense first, and then we will switch to Thromatitos on defense. Himmelsdorf, again, goody game, or good game, I think. So it should be kind of interesting to see what comes out of here from Thromatitos, who I'm sure now are kind of frustrated and anxious for a win.
You got to put it out your mind. This is your map. This is where you can take the full advantage of it and do everything you can. And as we saw in our first match, it didn't matter whose map it was. Popcorn just said ours and put their flag in it. In this map here, Thromatitos are going to try to avoid that by picking up at least a couple wins in their first map here. And if I'm not mistaken, J-Lift actually picked up their first win on Himmelsdorf. Did they not? J-Lift, are you still there, sir?
I apologize. I accidentally somehow muted my mic. That is my bad. Yes, we did see J-Lift pick up its first win and only win against Popcorn on Himmelsdorf with their defensive positioning, or with I believe it was their defense is what J-Lift won against Popcorn. So good play, but kind of still a toss-up as to what we're going to see come out of FHS and Thromatitos. And once again, I think we have a little bit of a delay. Nope, here we go. As we go into our next game, we have FHS on defense, bringing 2 E100s, a Melancholy and a Super Conqueror, a Woober and a T110E5, and Vova in the Bat Chat. For Thromatitos, we've got Fluky in a 50B, 3 E100s coming in from Bastion, Kenway, and Perfect Style, and then Sheep in a Super Conqueror as well.
And we get to see 5, which is always fun to see. And 5 E100s in total on the map. And that's a lot of thickness, that's a lot of armor, and that's a lot of HP. Move out. And I'm curious to see how they're going to set up.
All right, and in we go. We have FHS kind of taking. Looks like they're sending Vova down. Oh, interesting. He's going down the D line. Wow. So he's using that Bat Chat, get some good spots in, see if they're sending anybody down the mid road to aggressively take any positions in the courtyard, which Thromatitos is definitely 100% not doing, as they send both the 50B and the S-Conqueror, Fluky, and Sheep up the hill. And it looks like they get some good shots. They should be able to get some decent shots in down the D line if they play it correctly. As Bastion, Kenway, and Perfect Style are now making their play up the mid-road. And looking at it, we've got Kenway with the 155, Bastion with the 128, and Perfect Style with the 128. So, again, they're mixing it up, getting that high alpha, slow reload, and the lower alpha but quicker reload E100 meta, which makes for interesting gameplay, in my opinion, because you get to see the best of both of those guns used here.
Absolutely. It's always fun to see a tank play 2 different styles, and by having different guns, it's the best way to define it. And the Uber seems in that position, just countering up the A line, being the watchdog. What do you think of their defense so far? It's not a complete turtle. It's pretty well spread out. It looks like they're just looking. They're waiting to react. But Thromatitos will end up doing.
Well, again, lots of HP for Thromatitos to have to eat through. They've got Vova in a good position, in his bat chat. They've got a Woober here in the E5 in a good position to be able to get resets onto Kenway without bleeding a lot of HP. Kenway, though, using the angling of that E100 to be able to try to get some eyes into the A4 like corner area, and he does manage to get a light in there. Lighting Built Different, who is getting some shots now from, I'm pretty sure, Fluky in the 50B, as both Fluky and Ken and Sheep now are moving down into that A0 corner. Now Sheep should be able to get some shots into a Woober here, possibly. Yeah, and here come Fluky firing one shot on the move, missing it. A Woober snapping the shot and managing to get the pick. Kenway angled correctly now against a Woober, which is kind of risky being in that position. I mean, they are keeping the cap pressure up, but they now have Vova in the bat chat now flanking around behind. He's going to run into Perfect Style here in relative quickness. There it is, the one shot. Perfect. Vova now getting a good shot in, trying to pen the side of the turret of that E100, getting a good shot in and getting another shot into the lower plate. But, you know, bat chat DPM is just not good enough to chew through E100 HP, only able to drop about 1900 in that one clip. But a Woober now getting a good reset onto Kenway. He should be able to fall back now and play that a little bit safer so he doesn't have to bleed any HP to the enemy team. Kenway dropping 821 HP as Fluky tries to get a peek, see if he can possibly sneak around and pick up a Woober. But a Woober playing it a little bit far forward as a good shot comes in from Tank Destroyer, killing Kenway in that E100. Not lucky for Thromatitos, as the FHS is now up by almost 3,000 HP over Thromatitos, as Thromatitos is just steadily bleeding and not able to get any shots in return.
I was going to say Perfect Styles was down to 1216, the lowest, and then Fluky took a hit, and now it's 995, and he's wearing that mantle. Changes the way that Thromatitos have set up here. And it's a waiting game. Defense wins the longer the match goes, or if they can bleed the clock down to 0.
And Sheep just not able to get those shots in return from that E100 HE. And I think Thromatitos has this one, because ultimately, again, Thromatitos is on defense, right? So, Thromatitos could sit here and wait and force... Or, excuse me, FHS is on defense.
Yeah,
they could sit here and wait for Thromatitos to push in and pick them apart that way. It's ultimately FHS's game here.
Yeah, just looking at the setup right now and the positioning, as long as they don't go rush headlong into something and throw their tanks away, they're in a really strong position, especially the longer the match goes. Sooner or later, the Thromatitos are going to have to make a move. They're going to rotate. They don't really have any place to fall back to right now. They can't break contact. They literally have to figure out where's the weakest link, if you will, and apply as much force as they possibly can and hope for the enemy to break.
Well, with Vova down on E8, he's able to keep control of that 8 line just to see if Thromatitos is going to try to flex out. Now we have Bastion making a push, trying to get a good shot. He does manage to land it on a Woober, and it's going to be up to him and Perfect Style now to make sure they pick up the kill on the Woober here without risking too much HP. But that E5, he is going to go down, and now that it's just Bastion against Built Different in his E100 as
just
the
under
E1 as Tank Destroyer in the other E100 is pushing around from behind. They're trying to make a play here. It's more of an act of desperation than a thought-out push, as Vova and Sheep are once again dueling the Bat Chat versus the Super Conqueror. Perfect Style down to 240 HP. Fluky is trying to get some shots in as well, but Sheep is going to go down. Vova and Tank Destroyer picking off together, bashing down to 106 HP, and it just doesn't look good for Thromatitos, as now Fluky is the only tank that has anything more than 250 HP, bashing down to 100 before getting picked by Built Different, and Perfect Style should get picked here really shortly. Fluky in his 50B still on reload. He's just going to go down now, as well as Tank Destroyer pushes him around the corner.
3-0 and the advantage of FHS. That gives them a good, strong position as they move on to the attack. And do you think of FHS as more of a defense team or an attacking team with your experience with them in the past, Edge?
Well, FHS, they're a return team, right? So we saw them play last season. They picked up some players, they've moved some things around, but they're still a very good team. And they're definitely showing this as they throttle Thromatitos, making it a 3-0 game in very short order.
Now, if you had to give the odds, what are the odds of Thromatitos crawling back a match here, or 2 matches? Do you give him like a 60% chance or 70% chance? Or do you wish to plead the 5th?
I wish to plead the 5th at the moment because I'm not entirely sure how this is going to result. Okay. Because I ultimately think that it's going to, like, we saw Popcorn. I mean, go up 3 games and then throw 2 and then win the rest of it. So anything can happen really. It's a situation where they're going to where Thromatitos could definitely make a comeback. FHS still 100% has to stay on its toes, but I think FHS is kind of decisively snowballing this win, and it's going to be up to Thromatitos to really kind of reposition themselves and pull a couple of these games back.
I agree, because it's not an easy pick of how they can come back, but you never know. That's the great thing about tanks. You never know when the bounce will happen. You never know when RNG will rear its ugly head and put you around into orbit. That's the love and the curse of World of Tanks.
Yeah, RNG is a fickle mistress, that is for sure.
The game where you can fire a shot, ricochet off of a tank, and do damage, or back in the old days, do damage to your own tank.
Yeah, it makes for some interesting gameplay, that's for sure. And just those quick look at the after-battle results. Good amounts of damage coming in from both sides. Just FHS is able to pull that off. Tank Destroyer, and for our next match though, we have flip sides. FHS on attack for this round of Himmelsdorf. We have Tank Destroyer and with a 50B, Built Different and Melancholy, each in an E100, a Woober in a 5A, and Vova in a Batchat. Fluky in perfect style for Thromatitos, bringing 2 E100s, a 705A, and from Kenway, a Super Conqueror from Bastion, and Sheep in a Batchat.
The 705A are ready, if I'm not mistaken. That's a good chunk of HP, but both sides have enough HP to last them a while.
Yeah, they really do. Thromatitos bringing the 705A is kind of a throwback to last season, just because of the way that the tank can play hull down very well. But if it's going to face hug an E100, it's not in a very good position. So you definitely want to keep the 705A at a little bit of range, because the E100 can just kind of shoot down into the upper engine deck of the 705A. And we had... Oh gosh, we're getting a little bit of lag there for a moment. I do apologize. Just give me one moment, guys, and I will fix that real quickly.
I'm seeing it on my side, too.
Oh, you are as well? Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Let me see if I can fix this real quick.
All right, I'm back to smooth on my side. So far, some shots, but essentially
yeah, and we are back as well.
Of nothing right now with the 0 damage.
No, we are not back as well. Okay, we're getting a little bit of lag here as we have now Thromatitos pushing down with Sheep down the 1-2 line, getting towards that 1 cap. Thromatitos is set up pretty defensively, pretty well actually here. Kind of a mirror to what we saw coming from FHS. Using the Batchat to get around, a little sneaky, but having the 705A in that tucked corner up in A6, being able to look down the A line as well as look down the 6 line as well. Sheep in his Batchat, he should be able to keep an eye on that mid as they try to push across, and it does look like FHS is getting ready for a quick push across the 8 line as they group up the E100s with the 50B.
How this plays out with that E100 heading north.
It Built Different as he crosses this should get lit, and that's why they're hesitating a little bit. As yes, there he goes. He is lit as Sheep manages to get a shot in. Melancholy and Built Different looks like they're trying to get a shot into Sheep. If Sheep decides to repoke this, they're pausing for a moment just to see if they're gonna see him get a repeat there. Vova on the hill in the Batchat, not really able to do much at the moment as he doesn't have any shots, but you can see perfect style getting a blind shot into what would be traditionally like the spot that you would put a Batchat or a 50B if you wanted to try to clip out or get some shots into the D3 corner. And now Tank Destroyer getting lit as Melancholy gets across very safely. And I think the only person who took any damage is going to be Built Different there from that one shot that came in from Sheep.
Yeah, that and we've kind of locked into a patience game. Both teams are in positions that they feel are possibly more advantageous. And that'll only change once they begin to rotate and they perhaps rethink some of their strategy. I think this will probably see this for another minute or so before we see any action. And that's based just entirely on a gut feeling with no scientific evidence.
Well, sometimes that gut feeling is well merited. As a good shot is sunk into perfect style from that E100 that's on the corner. I'm pretty sure it's Melancholy. You could hear the heat sizzle, so that is definitely a 155 as it manages to save a good chunk of HP off of perfect style, dropping him to 2191. Vova here in his bat chat, he did the quick cross there. He probably got a spot into Fluky. I'm not entirely sure. But my guess would be nope, he did not. So unfortunate there. But he is in a decent position now, but not against the 705A, as FHS is now taking some aggressive positioning here, moving up onto the D-line, Built Different, bleeding a little bit of HP to Sheep, as Sheep is on that flank, getting some shots in. But the Batchat gun is a fickle mistress, and he's able to bounce a couple of the shots there as Sheep goes for a full reload, pulling him out of the game for at least 30 seconds. And now we have a Woober, Built Different, Tank Destroyer, and Melancholy all making an aggressive play up the 5 line. And this is actually a smart play by them because they should be able to get some shots into Kenway at the same time and use the hill, or the wall here that they have on the left-hand side to shield themselves from the E100 and the Super Conqueror. Kenway, though, being smart, did manage to get out of that corner. The Batchat now from Vova on a 0 is probably going to try to get a peek around the corner, try to get some shots into Kenway as Kenway has turned to deal with the whole group from FHS here. Yeah, and there's some shots coming in on Kenway from Vova. Using I would guess, Batchat Heat getting some good shots in there as well, as now it's just a matter of how much damage can Vova put on, and can FHS pull off this push, as here they come. Melancholy pushing around Tank Destroyer with his clip. He's going to get it into Bastion, eliminate the high DPM tank immediately. Tank Destroyer, I think, has one more shot as he gets it into Fluky, and now he's on full reload as Melancholy and Built Different are now trying to deal with Sheep and Fluky here in the E100. Kenway, though, getting away from Vova, is able to pick off Tank Destroyer in the 50B with that 705A gun, and it doesn't actually look too good here for FHS. I think this is possibly a pickup win for Thromatitos, as they're now up 4-3 over FHS.
A few minutes ago, I didn't see this, but great play by Thromatitos.
And you can see Vova here looking for the shot onto Sheep. The Batchat, though, not the most accurate gun on the move. He does miss that shot on Sheep. If it had been Dark Ninja, he probably would have fended it, let's be honest. As now it's just a 5A against 2 E100s. Now those E100s do have the 128, so the 5A does have a little bit of time. He does go for that low health kill. And now the 5A does have, I believe, less DPM after the buff than the E100. But it does have a very nice heat shell, so he should be able to very reliably. And now Vova managing to pick up the kill on Sheep. All that is left is perfect style now in this E100. And I honestly think after that bounce, we're going to see FHS pick this up as a win.
And great clawback by Woober and Vova to get it. And again, with Woober having 3 kills.
Absolutely. Definitely a not the play that was expected. As
definition of back and forth.
Yeah, and with that, FHS is now up 4-0 over Thromatitos. And just looking at the after battle results screens, a Woober, 4k damage, 3 kills, 100% pen rate, 111 fantasy points, so big gain for him. I think that's his second time with over 100 points earned. Vova with 2800 damage, 1 kill, 73 hit ratio, and 71 fantasy points. Build and Melancholy each doing about 2200 damage. No kills, but they did keep their pen ratios up, which gives them a decent amount of fantasy points. And then, of course, Tank Destroyer, he got off that clip and then immediately died, but he did pen every single shot and managed to pick up a kill. Perfect style and Fluky. Yeah, getting off that clip in the 50B is definitely one of those more important things. Perfect style and Fluky, though. They lived the longest, but ultimately it was just not enough.
Wow.
3,300 damage coming in from Perfect Style, but no kills. 86% hit ratio. Fluky with 2,100 damage, 71% hit ratio, but 2 kills. Sheep in the Bat Chat with 2K, 0 kills, 63% hit ratio. Kenway and Bastion each doing sub 2K. Kenway, though, managing to pick up the kill on Tank Destroyer in that 50B as he came around the corner, dealing them both a 100% pen ratio as well. So, not the matches that we thought. Yeah, not the games that we thought we would see tonight, I would say.
You know what time it is? It is 4-0, so that makes it match point. FHS can sweep them with this next win.
It really does. And let's take a look at what the next match is. It is going to be Prokhorovka.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure
FHS knows how to play on Prokhorovka. So.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that this is an FHS pick as well. And it'll be Thromatitos for the first game on defense with FHS attacking. So Thromatitos really need to get a win here. If they don't, it's just a clean sweep, and it's not looking good for them so far in the Community League.
No, the teams they faced so far have been able to eke out victories at the closest and the farthest. This might be their best win so far. They can, their worst loss, but Thromatitos, any team that wins 5-0 is a good win for them. Suffering that loss, that's going to sting for a bit.
Yeah, it really will. It's definitely not a. It's definitely unfortunate.
There's no point of pride being burned, your tank being burned down or being penned. It is what it is.
Yeah, and here we go. We should be getting ready here shortly for our next match on Proc. Thank everybody for joining us on this evening. The games have definitely not gone the way that you and I expected.
No, we did.
We're 0 for 2 tonight, I think, both of us at this point. So.
Well, I think I said 5-2, so I think both of us were still in the game, but realistically speaking, I think FHS is. I'd be surprised if they don't pick it up somewhere on Prokhorovka.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Thromatitos might be able to pull 1 or 2 games back at this point, but I think FHS is just proving that they're much more cohesive. They were much more ready for these games, and it's definitely an aggressive play from them.
It does credit to them the fact that you can tell they've worked. You can tell that they've gone out of their way to train a little bit, and they're great players on top of all that. Great individual players.
Yeah, they
Who,
really
in your opinion,
are.
is the best player, and this is purely subjective, on FHS that you know of? Oh, let me interrupt real quick. We have Melancholy and the Super Conqueror, Uber and the WZ-111 Model 5A, Vova and the CS63, Built Different and SCB-1, Tank Destroyer and a T-100 Light. And then on the other side, you have Kenway and a Super Conqueror, Bastion and an SCB-1, Fluky and SCB-1, Perfect Style and an SCB-1, so that's a total of 3 of them, and Sheep in a T-100 LT. That is a highly mobile Thromatitos lineup.
Yeah, very mobile. Using the STBs, they can play those ridges very well. Kenway being the only slow tank in that Super Conqueror, but it's still a Super Conqueror. It's well armored. It's got good DPM and a great EPCR shell. Thromatitos should be able to use that to the best of their ability. As regarding your question, though, I think my chat at the moment would riot if I didn't say that Vova was the best player on FHS that I know of. But I'm gonna give a little shout out to Melancholy. He's definitely a pretty solid player, and it's been good to see him do very, very well in these games. And now Tank Destroyer and Sheep doing the counter spot run. Tank Destroyer does able to get the spot onto Perfect, though, and Sheep most likely gets the spot onto Melancholy. So some good spotting runs there coming in. No HP traded, but definitely an idea of at least where some of the tanks are coming. Now, the 2 STBs that Thromatitos is sending up into the A9 corner, it's a good spot for them, but the way that FHS is setting up, I don't know how useful they'll be being over there. It'll definitely take some time for them to get back into the fight if FHS decides to full send a field play.
And in a way, you have the battle of the scouting runs. How each T100 will end up setting up their runs or routes and to get the most out of it for their team.
Sheep now
going
taking
to the
advantage of
hidden
that
beach
little
area.
bush.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh, no, I apologize. I was just saying Sheep, taking advantage of that C1 little bush just to try to get an eyes out into the field. It's a cheeky spot that you can use in a T100 just to get kind of a quick spot, or if you need to fall back a little bit further from that E1 bush, it's also a good spot to be able to spot the 1-2 line.
Absolutely.
But Thromatitos, even though they're spread out, they're in very solid positions to play defensively, depending on where FHS decides to make a play. Putting that Super Conqueror back in the A2 corner, the A3 corner, with an STB in support gives them a little bit of armor to play hull down, as well as the DPM that STBs provides. And then Sheep, actually, it looks like, did actually take a hit here, dropping to 1109 in his T100.
They're suffering shots. It's happening. I'm still seeing things unpack as the match continues. Seeing that defensive kind of, we're zooming in on Built Different right now, being as STB 100. It's the feeling out phase is in full effect.
Oh, it absolutely is. Their Sheep, though, not a good scout run, as he bleeds a lot of HP, dropping to 701 HP. And, Sheep here, he's making these aggressive ones in the T100, but it's really not good for him to be losing that much HP, because it's really important for him to stay alive to make the use of, Thromatitos' defensive positions. But Tank Destroyer here playing the E7 village area, using the bushes, trying to not destroy any of the buildings in town. He should be able to push up, but he's got Vova now in the CS63, taking advantage of the little bush in the F8 corner as well. And I'm pretty sure the STBs from Thromatitos are just kind of blind firing some houses at the moment.
Sure.
You can hear some shots coming in, but no actual damage going out.
A literal recon by fire.
Yeah, well, there's always the chance that you'll hit something, as well as the fact that you're destroying cover that, might impede a shot later on. So, it's all a good play. Right now, nobody really has any idea where the other team is. So this is, why we see some blind shots. Yeah, perfect style blind firing the hill. Some of the typical bushes that you can use to spot to try to get some eyes down into that A9, B9 area. And it does look like FHS is setting up to make a 2-cap play. They're probably going to, my guess, they're going to send the CS63 and the STB and the T100 down towards Perfect Style in that STB. But the STBs are in a layered defensive position, so the one that's up high is going to bleed a lot of damage, or should be able to get some shots into FHS's tanks as they try to push the low STB. And Vova and Tank Destroyer taking advantage of the quote-unquote boost that Octobear doesn't seem to be able to maintain. And Bastion here taking his time, waiting a little bit, getting a shot into, trying to get a shot into Tank Destroyer. But see, this is the problem now, where he's located. He is exposed to Melancholy and Built Different up on this ridge. It's not a sheltered area at all. You can see he's just dropping lots of HP, dropping to 724. Vova in low is still dueling Perfect Style, but Vova is going to pick up the kill on Perfect Style, and now Bastion is dropped to 27 and he is dead in very short order, as now FHS is in a good position. The only tank that's really only a one-shot is Tank Destroyer in that T100. And if they play it smart, he probably will live.
That's true. And looking at it right now, it's 5-3. And we're talking all night long. The more guns you keep in the game, it's better for your team.
And here comes Fluky. I'm not sure what Fluky's doing here, as he just pushes right over the rails. Kenway and just trying to duel Melancholy as much as he can, but he's now got a WZ on his rear, getting shots into his side. Sheep in the T100 is now on the hill. He should be able to get some damage out, but Fluky is going to actually manage to... Surprisingly, he picks up the kill on Vova there with 82 HP to his knee. But Kenway is going to die here very shortly, as Melancholy is bleeding down some HP, but Kenway is kind of sandwiched now at this point. And you can see on the other side, we have Taker and the Built Different picking up the kill on Fluky.
Wow.
And Kenway going down in short order, making this a 5-0 victory for FHS. Absolutely dominating Thromatitos here on this night.
Saw two impressive matches tonight as far as domination by an opposing team. We saw Popcorn really kind of demonstrate that, but we can't take anything away against FHS. They came up to make a statement. Boy, howdy did they ever.
Yeah, definitely an aggressive play. FHS taking that win, proving that they're definitely superior in this instance.
Sure.
And you can see the after battle results. Melancholy built different. Awuber each doing a good amount of damage, staying alive, keeping their HP in the game. Melancholy farming out 3,100 damage with 1 kill and a 90% hit ratio. Fluky in the STB for Thromatitos on top as well with 2,800 damage, 1 kill, 100% pen ratio. But built, it ultimately came down to Thromatitos just bled way too much. Bastion up in that STB up on the A line, just not in a good position to be able to get the fire in that was needed for Thromatitos to hold on there. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the combined statistics for the night here real shortly. Excuse me, just give us a moment to go ahead and change that slide.
And while we have a second, we want to thank all of you guys for coming out tonight and watching the stream, the SteelSeries Community Major League game. And again, Dan dealing with all the numbers and getting everything sorted out. A huge shout out to Viral and the rest of his admin team for without who we wouldn't be able to have these matches. They've been killing it so far, even as we're simply in I believe day 5 of week 2. And it's great to have folks like Viral. He's our cameraman. His team and everybody like that do a great job working with other teams, prepped and ready to go. Big shout out to the unsung heroes.
Absolutely. And with that, we will see FHS picking up their 5 games with a Woober with a masterful 1,400 damage, with a 2,100 average, 7 kills, 97% pen ratio, and a 364. He is the big winner for Master Points. And then on the opposite side, we have Sheep down at the bottom for Fantasy Points with 5.1k damage with an average of 1k damage per game, 0 kills, 54% hit rate. No, I did not pick Sheep. And 121 fantasy points going to him for this. I did,
so that did not end well for me. However, Sheep's a good player. Next week, I'm sure he'll bounce back and be even more focused than normal, and that's congrats to him on that win.
Absolutely. And with that, guys, we will call it a night. This was the 5th night of the SteelSeries Community League. We will be back with more games on Friday. We've got a good lineup set up for them. For then, we look forward to having you all back on Friday to join us. Otherwise, please be sure to hit that follow button. If you really enjoyed, hit that subscribe button on both BTED and myself's channel. It would really help us both out with the follows. I know that for sure. But anything else to add, BTED, before we let the ladies and gentlemen go for the evening?
Sure. I'll just reinforce what you're saying. If you guys like competitive play, you want to see it more often, make sure you follow Edge of Insanity and myself, BTED72, because that's the way that you encourage it. The more people are watching, the more Wargaming will listen. And funny enough, they do listen, guys. It's just the clearer message you send, like, we want more of this. We want more variety. We want, bigger teams. And there's a lot of folks that we're looking that want that and continue to move forward to that. So I want to thank you guys again for coming out tonight, and that'll be it for me. All yours, Edge, on the close.
All right. Have a wonderful evening, guys. We will see you back on Friday for another night of the SteelSeries Community League.